Welcome everyone to Module 12, Garhwal Traverse in our Himalayan webinar series. In this module, we're again going to focus on one of the beautiful regions in the Western Indian Himalayas, next to Kumaon yesterday. We'll be focusing in the next 10 modules on different beautiful ranges of the Western Himalayas and taking you on a visual journey through some passes and unique experiences in each and every of these regions. As usual, we are live on Zoom every morning at 8 o'clock on the given URL, and the Zoom recordings are posted later in the day on both Insta TV, the first 10 minutes, and the full videos on YouTube and ultrajourneys.org. Okay, let's get started with Garhwal. So here you can see a small village in western Garhwal, close to Kedarkantha, Chaptari, beautiful kind of beautifully built with natural materials, rocks, wood, a lot of wood at the base of the Himalayas, limestone roofs, very friendly people, very innocent, very overwhelming hospitality as you travel through these small settlements and foothills of the Uttarakhand Himalayas. Another close look at Uttarakhand here. So we'll be focusing on the western part. So we'll be going through Joshimath, through Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, Yamunotri, and Uttarakashi. These are the high ranges. We'll be traversing through the mid-range passes. As I mentioned yesterday, so we traversed from the the east-south here to the northwest, so over 30 passes in total across Uttarakhand. Today, we'll be focusing on Garhwal, which are these 5 districts of Uttarakashi, Rudraprayag, Chamoli, Teri, and Pauri. Garhwal is traversed in 15 passes below the Gangotri National Park on the right and the Govind Pashu National Park on the left side. Okay, let's maybe zoom in first on Google Earth again. So here again, we look at India and the Himalayas. So again, if you look at the Himalayas, they are spread out all the way from Tajikistan to the Karakoram in Pakistan to Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh, Himachal, and then here Uttarakhand before we enter Nepal on the right side. So Uttarakhand is again divided into the passes here on the east, which we explained yesterday, the Kumaon region, 5 eastern districts, and then the passes on the left side here, which is the Garhwal district. Okay, so let's take a look where we left off yesterday. We had reached till a few passes before Joshimath. So let's zoom in a little bit on those passes. We reached exactly at this pass here, Cooking Gull, from where again we'll go through many beautiful small settlements at the foothills of the Nanda Devi biosphere. You have Trishul Peak here, a huge 7,000 meter peak. So again, Jeni, Pana, all remember Sartoli, amazing place where I stay with the shepherds, as we'll see in the coming slides. And then the amazing Kuari Pass here, from where eventually we enter a more touristic place, Joshimath, which is on the way to Badrinath. So here you'll go from peaceful, serene meadows into heavy and noisy traffic. From there, we jump across the highway quickly to get out of all this pilgrim noise and again go through so many beautiful villages on the upper valleys above Joshimath to cross the Naula Pass. Naula Pass located near Badrinath. Badrinath, with kind of a yatra place where you'll also find many people hiking to these foothills of the Himalayas. This will be the Gangotri high ranges. So from the Naula Pass, you get stunning views on these 180 degrees views on the Gangotri ranges. From there we get down, and then actually we need transportation as we pass this region here, which will go towards this will go towards Kedarnath actually. So again, heavy kilometer-long traffic jams of pilgrims. So then we basically go to Sonprayag, from where which is located on this noisy pilgrim traffic. From there again, we can escape to a small village, Triyungi, from where we head towards Kyumkinkal, a beautiful pass that will allow us again to descend in almost like an uninhabited valley, from where we then go to Reeh, etc. Reeh-Gainwali Pass. We go to a village, Gainwali. From there, actually, we enter into the forest, lost the trail here, getting over again onto some unknown passes towards Pinswar. And Pinswar, we have a pretty kind of famous touristic spot here again, the Dodi Dal Lake, which also gives access to the Darwa Pass. Then later on, I think I'm still a little bit early. So then we get back to the plains here. This will be the Gangotri Valley, from where we go to Gangotri. Here we can go via Reeh-Gainwali. We can get in beautiful meadows known as Darwa, also a bit touristic there for campsites. Not many people then cross the pass beyond Darwa and then get in a kind of uninhabited jungle valley, where I came face to face with a black bear after crossing stream using a fallen tree log to the village of Manjini. From Manjini, we get to the Darwa Pass, where again we got completely stuck in this valley here, an uninhabited valley that flows to Hanuman Chatti on the junction to the Yamunotri site. So there we had to come back actually and get down through all these small villages and make a roundabout. Okay, after then taking another transport from Uttarakashi, we hip hop over the Yamunotri Valley, and then again we have come to the place that was closest to my heart. Here I've experienced some of the best hospitality near villages of Pari, Koti, Sudnola is there, and many villages here at the other side of Kedarkantha. So Kedarkantha mostly is accessed from the Sankri side here, which is pretty touristic. This is the Govind National Park. On the other side, actually, nobody comes, and here you enter into beautiful small farming settlements where every single house in every single village will invite you over for tea. Amazing people. So after crossing Kedarkantha then to the well-known Sankri site here and Harkidun in the Govind National Park, you go down to Natwat, which is the forest entry checkpoint, and from there again you get into the Rupin Valley. In the Rupin Valley, same story, beautiful settlements, very ancient temples here in this specific valley. Proceeding further along a pretty well-known trekking trail to the Rupin Pass, obviously, where you finally leave Uttarakhand and enter Himachal to the village of Dodra, and then basically cross over to the Chanshal Pass in Shimla district. Voila, so this is a little bit the Garhwal, a whole traverse here of 15 passes below the Gangotri and below the Govind Pasha National Park, which spreads out here. This is the Baspa range. We'll be focusing on this range later, where you have several passes crossing between the Shimla district and the Baspa Valley here. Here you have Sangla. Sangla is a beautiful valley, and also Chitkul, called the last village of India before you enter towards Tibet. At least 5 high passes here, including Rupin, Puran, and several other passes. Okay, let's now focus on Garhwal. So here again, the same 15 passes, which I showcased on the Google Earth map. Red are the passes, and you can see blue are abundant, many villages at the foothills where it's easy to resupply food and night stay also. So you can see the famous spots here of typically inside the valleys, Badrinath, Joshimath. You have Kedarnath here, very famous. Gangotri, which goes fully in this valley behind the Gangotri high ranges. And then you have the Yamunotri. So whenever you cross these pilgrims routes, you'll get, it will hit you in the face, the stark contrast between the unknown, non-touristic places and those crowded pilgrim highways. Here are the 15 passes over which we went: Kukinkal, Suryaghat, Kuwari, Noali, Kedarkantha, and then whenever I give from the two village, these are actually unknown passes, unnamed passes, so I just give the two major towns on both sides of the pass. As you can see, we stay below 4,000 meter here, which is perfectly suitable to traverse in the month of May or even April if there is not too much snowfall. Even though the passes are at lower altitude, the climb and the descent is also quite significant, as the from and the two towns are located at pretty low altitudes in the surrounding values. Most of the passes are quite easy and moderate, so perfect for people who get started in alpine style exploration on these non-touristic routes. Let's start with the first three that leads eventually to Joshimath here, Joshimath and Badrinath. So here we left yesterday at one village, very beautiful village at the end of the valley, from where we climbed up through some shepherd meadows over the Kedarkantha, and then basically get down to the village of Sital. Extremely beautiful again, from where we climb up into the meadows to the Suryagat, Jani, another extremely remote place connected through some roads. Initially they built roads here, which have all been kind of landslided. Amazing night stay in Sarturi with the shepherds before I get over the Kuari Pass and Geit, where it hits me in the face again as we enter in a super crowded touristic Joshimath, or pilgrimistic, should I say. Here you can see those beautiful settlements. I just pick out one Sital. So the valleys are like at the footplains of Uttarakhand, are amazingly forested, beautiful valleys, big streams in between. Sometimes the valley is open, sometimes the valley, the river cuts deeply into the valley and you get like almost a gorge. Where the valley is open and the slopes are gradual, you'll get these small settlements and terrace farming. Here at the end of May, golden brown as the harvest is in full swing. So here you can clearly see it's impossible to harvest here or plant with tractors. Everything is manual labor basically. Here in Sartoli, kind of meadows, or like an old ruined settlement now. You can see it in the background. There are some houses here and some compound wall, not inhabited anymore. In many cases, those settlements near the passes have all been abandoned. Here, at the end of the day, basically on the way to the base of the Kuari Pass, I was planning to settle down in the wild, while suddenly I had the pleasure to see these gentlemen here. You have no idea, thousands sheep and goat in one place, overwhelming sight. And these people again immediately invited me for a cup of hot milk, followed by a sumptuous dinner of rotis, and they even let me sleep in their tent while they were sleeping in the open. Oh, really amazing innocence and hospitality. Let's take a look at the first video walking through this herds of sheep.
We are at Sartuli, at the base of the Kuari Pass, surrounded by 1,000 sheep of 5 sheep herders, protected by 7 sheepdogs. It's all sheep and goat here, as far as the eye can see. Amazing experience.
So you can see like the whole meadow is actually filled up with animals. 1,000 is a huge number. So then in the night, in the same place, actually without any kind of tents or covered camp, these people just sit in the open. It's pretty cold there at the base of the Kuari Pass. It's an open meadow, so cold wind is blowing. They get in their evening routine where they start preparing rotis, make them yummy over the campfire. And this was a wonderful night stay actually. I'll show some videos on shepherd campsites in the upcoming valleys. Okay, then finally we cross the Kuari Pass, which is a pretty steep climb to cross over to Joshimath. The pass again is 3,800 meters, I believe, so still covered with snow even towards the second part of May due to unprecedented snowfall. Let me take you on a small traverse here in the snow.
Walking through a couple of snowfields here while crossing the ridge next to the Terrace Pass. As usual, the western side is always a little bit more snowy than the east. Looks like I'm not the first one to break the trail this time.
Snow is soft, so it's pretty easy to walk through it. Early morning it would have been more tough if the snow is frozen. Definitely need some kind of ice axe and ice balls if it's frozen. Okay, so then we basically entered Joshimath, and then it's a long traverse towards the Rudranath side from where we cross the Naula Pass. So again, as I mentioned, this whole highway towards Joshimath and Badrinath is one pilgrim kind of bee nest. You want to get off the highway as soon as possible and basically climb up here into the slope above the valley where you come across amazing small settlements like Urgam and Dumak, really taken out of a fairy tale book, I would say, where you go to a beautiful lake, Tolita Lake, on the way to the Naula Pass. Near the Naula Pass, you'll find some more people, as it's again a kind of yatra, pilgrim route. Until Dumak, you won't find anyone. So here you can see, for example, Urgam, that same beautiful views below the high ranges, in this case of the Gangotri National Park. You see these beautiful meadows carved out in the forest of the foothills of the Uttarakhand Himalayas. Then again, all these villages are, as I mentioned yesterday, also connected through beautiful cobbled paths. That's the nice thing about Uttarakhand. There are always pakka paths connecting these small hamlets, obviously, as they have to transport goods and people have to move between these paths, between these villages which are not connected by roads. Here we're meeting, like again, some 500 sheep crossing us on these cobbled pathways between the hamlets. And then coming in Dumak, Dumak was kind of the last village before we get again into the forest towards Rudranath. So whenever you come in these villages, the kids are so energetic, so innocent. They just run through any visitor there because actually very, very few outsiders come to these places which are non-touristic. Nobody comes across these passes, even though there are clear trails connecting these villages. Here then, after climbing up towards the Rudranath side, we come across these beautiful lakes where the high ranges again of the Gangotri are reflected here in Tolital, open meadows. Bit kind of semi-touristic here. So here we had a small kind of ruin where one local guy was having a hotel and providing some food to the hikers. And then here you can see, as you go to the Naula Pass, you get stunning views on the Gangotri high ranges. In a clear sky, this is like very overwhelming. These ranges are far away, but due to the altitude of the Naula Pass, you get overwhelming views on these high ranges. Proceeding then to the next 4 passes. After this, actually, we took a bus ride to Sonprayag to basically escape all the highways leading to Kedarnath. From Sonprayag, we can again escape into the lesser known areas and again find peace here, crossing these 4 passes. 3 of them don't carry a name, so I just named them as per the from and to villages on both sides of the pass. Same story again. Here you can see Gutu on routes, beautiful settlements on the lower slopes, on the less steep slopes of the valley. Very beautiful, especially when it's harvest. You get these golden brown fields where the villagers will be in full harvest mode. As you climb up then from the valleys to the passes, you come across these. Here is the Reeh-Gainwali Pass. You get these high ranges, these ridges, which are beautiful meadows and full of these trails used by shepherds to graze the entire slopes around these ranges. Coming down again to Gainwali here, same settlements nested along the slopes of the valley, surrounded by steppe plantation, and around the plantations it's full of dense forest with beautiful trails connecting these hamlets. From Gainwali, we get a little bit stuck in the wilderness there, so there the trail finally fades out. I guess it's not used, and I completely lose track. Finally have to cross some uninhabited valley through a stream. Then climb up CTC style along the slopes into forest. Not very hopeful again on finding anyone at the end of the day here, but as luck would have it, I come into some unknown, undocumented settlement, Rayana, which is mostly deserted. But again, some shepherds are camping over there, so I end up in good company for the night, as these shepherds again prepare some yummy wood-fried rotis with aloo here. I'll show a small video of the ambience on this campsite.
भाग आज अपने साप्ताहिक कार्यक्रम चर्चा का विषय है के अंतर्गत राजनीति में बढ़ती हिंसात्मक घटनाएं लोकतंत्र के लिए एक गंभीर चुनौती पर परिचर्चा प्रसारित करेगा। इसे रात 9:30 बजे से आकाशवाणी के FM गोल्ड चैनल इंद्रप्रस्थ और अतिरिक्त मीटरों पर सुना जा सकेगा। वित्त मंत्री अरुण जेटली ने प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी को पत्र लिखकर ये अनुरोध किया है कि स्वास्थ्य कारणों से उन्हें नई सरकार में शामिल न किया जाए। उन्होंने कहा कि पिछली एनडीए सरकार और पार्टी संगठन में उन्हें महत्वपूर्ण जिम्मेदारी दी गई थी।
Everyone is chilling out, smoking a bidi or a hookah pipe. There you can see all the animals next to you. This is such a different experience than going on a commercial trip. Voila. So then proceeding further again, after this, the trails are not very clear, but yeah, you can kind of find the way by knowing the direction of the passes and just going like through the wild. It's not too dense forest. Then again, you come across very remote settlements. It's not even villages, it's just like shelters where again, most people are actually left. Only a few families still stay there. So here I was able to cook some of my Maggies in one of those semi-open shelters, animal/people shelters. Again, as you go up towards the passes, you get these beautiful, this is on the way to Mala, beautiful meadows full of alpine flowers, giving those beautiful views on the forest below and the high ranges in the horizon. Here again on the way to Mala, beautiful pathways from the passes towards the valleys. Finally, when we reach Mala, Mala is on the way again to Gangotri, so a little bit of a kind of touristic route. I mean, touristic or pilgrimistic, I would say. Going from Mala, you can walk towards Reeh-Gainwali, and from there again, you can escape from these pilgrim noise and busyness through the Darwa meadows, crossing over to again like a wild valley here. Here you come in the middle of nowhere, forest. Here I met actually a black bear. And we had to cross a wild stream using a wooden log, otherwise it was impossible to cross the stream flowing down from the Govin Pashu National Park, ending up in the village of Manjini for night stay, where we join a kind of touristic route from Sangham Shati towards the Dodital Lake. Many pilgrims are there, a little bit commercial, crossing over to the Darwa Pass, getting into the Hanuman Chatti Valley here, which eventually becomes very beautiful, but eventually becomes a narrow gorge, getting totally stuck there. Difficult to traverse, a lot of landslides on the side of the stream. So the actual route actually goes above the ridge here, which we didn't know, undocumented trail, and still a lot of snow, which prevented us from seeing the route. Here on the high meadows of Darwa, we met these nomadic tribes. These are Gujars, which normally stay at the villages of the foothill of the Uttarakhand Himalayas, and in the summer go to the alpine meadows where they graze their cattle. They stay with their family. They don't have any fancy shelters. They just sit under a tarpaulin sheet and again shower you with overwhelming hospitality. Before you know, you'll be drinking fresh, undiluted, hot buffalo milk, and they will be feeding you with some food. Again, you can see some Gujars here, typical look, rough, forested look of these guys staying in those places in the summer months. From then Darwa, we get down, as I mentioned, in a very kind of unused trail, which eventually we lose the way and we get down to virgin forest, to the stream. in the stream, we basically get stuck until we find a lock to cross this wild water stream.
We finally hit the stream to Manji village, quite a descent from the steep forest above. So next challenge is to cross this quite ferocious stream. Luckily, one tree was fallen down here, so hopefully we can cross using the tree. Please come.
Okay. So then finally at the end of the day, we meet that black bear just on the other side of the stream who didn't hear us coming because of the noise of the water. And then basically we end up in the village of Manji, where we hold for the night in a small shelter here, wooden shelter of a person who is still willing to make us some dinner at the end of the day. Then we hike along a fairly well laid out touristic path to beautiful Dodital, one of those high lakes just below the Darwa Pass you see up there. Beautiful serene lake, crystal clear waters with a beautiful wooden kind of, looks like a little Buddhistic temple. Climbing up the Darwa Pass then, fairly steep again. On the other side, typically on the western side, it will still be snow covered, while on the eastern side, where the sun shines bright in the morning, it will be mostly melted and clear. The actual trail here to Hanuman Chatti towards the Yamunotri Valley goes on top of the pass, it seems, but we went down following like an OSM route, which got us stuck here in the valley. Still an amazing experience, very serene, unknown wild wilderness valley. Initially flat and quite manageable to walk along, but eventually gaining force, the Hanuman Chatti stream starts cutting deep into the valley, and it's simply, you get stuck on vertical sides on both sides. So we climb up back, and then we basically, again, take a transport to Rajgargi, from where we do the final section towards one of the most hospitable areas here on the eastern side of Kedarkantha, before we enter the more touristic hiking valley of Sankri and Harkidun below the Govind National Park, and then proceed basically towards the border of Himachal in the Rupin Valley here, Rupin, which flows down from the Baspa range. Rupin Pass, one of the passes between the Baspa Valley here, Sangla, and Uttarakhand or Shimla district in Himachal. Okay, so here we see again, as on the first slides, these beautiful hamlets through which you go. People look a little weird at you, as normally nobody goes through these villages. These are at the end of the valley. Many people don't know the passes, so they actually don't go to these villages at the end of the valley on the way to those unknown passes. I've slept in one of these homes, amazing, a lot of beautiful woodwork, very warm in the winter, chill in the summer. Animals and grains are kept in the ground floor, and then the people usually stay on the upper floors, as during the winter, I guess, there's a significant amount of snowfall which would cover the ground floor of these houses. Same villages on this eastern side of Kedarkantha, that last valley actually, dead end, you come across amazing ancient temples, beautifully hand-carved. Every village has one of these beautiful temples. Here you see the one in Surnol village, the Reeh-Gainwali Mata temple, decorated beautifully with bells and horns of wild animals, and sometimes trophies of the village in sports tournaments. Then in the last village there in Darshan, at the base of the Kedarkantha, I completely lose the trail. The trail is pretty clear, straightforward to the village of Darshan, but after that there are so many trails going left and right that I completely get stuck. Without speaking the local language, also no clue where to go, what to ask. Eventually one lady, elder lady, takes pity on me shows me the right way, and before sending me on the right track, gives me some freshly prepared lunch here with some fresh buffalo milk, enough energy to make it in one push across the Kedarkantha peak. Here then finally we cross over from this last isolated valley with all these small villages into the valley of Sankri and Harkidun with beautiful views at the Govind National Park here. Pretty touristic place with a couple of passes in that lead towards the other sides. Here you can see two shepherds sitting at one of the sides of Kedarkantha. Again, as we then enter that last section towards the border with Himachal, you come again onto many beautiful villages, beautiful ancient architecture, very traditional architecture of the houses, and every village will have these beautiful ancient handcrafted temples. Here in Doni village, high above the Rupin River, beautiful work. These are the kind of villages you find here. This is at the entry of the Rupin River Valley, where the Rupin actually comes out of a gorge and get joined to one of the side streams. All the houses are built traditionally, not a single modern house here with concrete and cement spoiling the looks of the village, except for maybe metal sheets on some houses. Otherwise, they are covered with those big tiles taken from a limestone from the side of the mountain. Here again, the last village then, or the first village while entering Himachal is Dodra, located some 600 meters above the Rupin Valley on the right side. A steep climb, but again, like very beautiful. I can call this nothing else but fairy tale. Every single house here in Dodra is made from a combination of natural stone and beautifully hand-carved natural wood covered by these special kind of a bit Japanese designed limestone stone tile roofs. Again, the granaries at the ground floor and the living quarters at the upper floor, so that people are above the snow during the winter. Finally, we cross over into main Shimla district of Himachal through the Chanshal Pass. Once again, getting beautiful views from the top of the Chanshal Pass on dense forest, rhododendrons on the open slopes, and at the horizon, you can see it, the Baspa ranges of the Govind National Park. Voila, that's it. You want to know more about each and every pass, each and every section, check out my blog, ultrajourney.org, which will have lots more photos, description to step into my footsteps. Tomorrow we'll be talking about the next region, one of my favorites, being the Great Himalayan National Park, like a protected wildlife biosphere, restricted entry, very lesser used passes deep inside, but some of the most raw and virgin, beautiful nature I've seen in any part of the lower Himalayas. Thanks for joining my